Hi, I'm Lindsay from Fluent TOEFL. In this mini course, we're going to focus on the reading section of the TOEFL. By the end of this video, you will have learned strategies for each reading question type, so you can get through any TOEFL reading passage quickly and efficiently. There are 10 different types of questions on the reading section. In this course, I will teach you how to answer each type quickly and correctly. This course is divided into 4 sections, so you can do this section by section, or you can do it all in one go. No matter what pace you choose, be sure to download the study guide pinned in the comments below. These strategies are going to boost your confidence for the TOEFL reading section, and I can't wait to hear from you in the comments. Today, you will master the step-by-step strategies for detail questions and negative detail questions. And then you will practice these strategies on real TOEFL questions. First up, detail question, also known as factual information question. They are called detail questions and factual information questions because you are looking for details, you are looking for facts. It's really important to remember that they're not asking you for what you already know. If it's a passage about history, they're not asking what you already know about history. They want you to look for the correct answer in the passage. When you read really quickly, looking for specific information, it's called scanning or scan reading. So you're going to be practicing that today. You're going to practice scanning the text, looking for keywords, looking for the correct answer. It's not the same as the type of reading we do when we read a good book. We get to read slowly, we get to read for enjoyment. When we're scanning, we are looking for information. We don't just do this on tests, we also do it when we go to the bus station and we're looking at the schedule. We're not going to read about every single bus, we just look for the bus that we want to take. This is what it looks like on the real test. This is a screenshot from ETS. You can see in the question it says, according to paragraph 4. And that's usually what a detailed question looks like, according to this paragraph, because you are looking for a fact or a detail in that paragraph. How to answer detailed questions. Step 1, understand exactly what information they are looking for by reading the question carefully. And do not look at the answer choices until you have a good understanding of the question. This is really good advice for any multiple choice test that you're doing. You don't want to look at the answer choices before you get an idea of the facts from the passage, because remember, most of the answer choices are wrong. And when you're trying to understand what the question is asking you, you can think of W questions. Why, what, who, where. Step 2, identify the keywords in the question. These are the words or phrases that are most important for answering the question. So we will practice that today. We'll practice looking for the keywords in the question. And step number 3, find the sentences or paragraphs that contain the answer. These sentences will often contain the exact keywords or synonyms of the keywords from the question. I'm going to call this our window. You're looking for the window. The window is the sentence or sentences that contain the answer. Sometimes that can be the whole paragraph. Sometimes that can just be 1 or 2 sentences. Step 4, use these sentences, use the window to make a prediction about what the answer might be. Again, this is really good advice for any multiple choice test. You want to think for yourself. You want to come up with a prediction before you look at the answer choices. And your prediction might not be exact. It might be a little bit more general, and sometimes it might be very close to the exact answer. You just want to do the work of thinking and making that prediction to the best of your ability. And the last step, step number 5, is to use the process of elimination. Again, very important on any multiple choice test. You have to use the process of elimination. You want to eliminate answers that don't match your prediction or that are contradictory to the main idea of the passage. Okay, we're going to practice using each of these steps together. Step 1 is to understand what the question is asking. What is the question asking us? The question is asking, why are Egyptian statues portrayed frontally? Okay, that's going to lead us to step number 2. What are the key words in the question? Why are Egyptian statues portrayed frontally? Those are the keywords. We're going to use those keywords to look at the paragraph. Scan quickly and look for the sentence or sentences. Look for the window that contain information about why statues were portrayed frontally. Okay, this is our window. These sentences contain the answer. Take a second to read those sentences carefully. Okay, the next step is to use those sentences to make a prediction about what the answer is. So, in your own words, why did they portray them from the front? According to what we have underlined here, it says it made sense to show the statue looking ahead at what was happening in front of it, so that the living performer of the ritual could interact with the divine or deceased recipient. And before that, it says that the statues were playing a primary role in the cults of the gods, the king and the dead, and they were used in rituals. So our prediction might be something related to that. They were portrayed from the front because they were used in rituals. Now let's use that prediction to complete the last step, which is the process of elimination. We want to eliminate the answers that don't match our prediction. So, A, to create a psychological effect of distance and isolation. Does that have anything to do with rituals? No, it does not. So we would eliminate A. What about B? To allow them to fulfill their important role in ceremonies of Egyptian life. Yes, ceremonies and rituals are synonyms. So we're going to keep answer B. We still want to look at answers C and D. So let's look at C. To provide a contrast to statues with a decorative function. Again, it doesn't match our prediction about rituals. To suggest the rigid, unchanging Egyptian philosophical attitudes. Again, it does not match our prediction, has nothing to do with rituals or ceremonies, and so B is the correct answer. Now, you might not know the word rituals or ceremonies. You might not know that they're synonyms. You should know that. That's why in the study guide for this module, there is a lot of vocabulary so that you can get through every lesson learning the words that you need to know in order to answer these questions. Okay, practice question number 2. I'm going to give you about 70 seconds to do this one on your own. Okay, let's go over your answer together. What is the question asking? The question is asking why were certain areas of a stone statue left uncarved? And those are our keywords as well. Why stone uncarved, so not carved. And the underlined sentences above, this is where our answer is, this is the window. It says that this part was not normally cut away and that this protected the figures. We know that this is referring to not cutting away this part. This protected the figures against breakage and psychologically gives the images a sense of strength and power, usually enhanced by a supporting back pillar. Okay, so which answer choice matches that? The answer is A, to prevent damage by providing physical stability. You can see here that the answers for detail questions, they align quite closely with the passage. So the words are almost the same, maybe some synonyms, but the meaning is quite clearly the same. Next up, we're going to learn about negative detail questions, also called negative factual information questions. I will be calling them negative detail questions. And this is when you're looking for something that's not in the passage. So before we were looking for the facts that are in the passage, now we're looking for something that's not there. You can recognize these questions because they will have the word not or except, and they will be in all caps, like here on the screen. Here's an example of one from ETS. You can see the word not on the right is in all caps. When you're answering these questions, they might take you a little bit more time, especially if the answer choice that is correct, so not in the passage, is just not there at all. So it doesn't contradict the passage, it doesn't say the opposite of the passage, but it isn't included in the passage. Now that one might take you a little bit more time. But sometimes it'll be a little bit faster because it will say the opposite of the passage, and then you'll know that it is the correct answer. How to answer a negative detail question. These steps are very similar to the detail questions with a big emphasis here on the process of elimination. So again, the first step is to understand exactly what information they are looking for by reading the question carefully. Remember, you can think of the W's, who, what, where, when. Step number 2, identify the keywords in the question. Step number 3, find the sentences or paragraphs that are true statements. So here you're looking for your windows still, but you're looking for things that you will eliminate in step 4 because you're looking for the true statements that you will eliminate in step 4. And step 4 is to eliminate the true statements. Remember, you are looking for something that is not mentioned or is contradictory. Remember that contradictory means to say the opposite of or to disagree with. Okay, practice question number 3. We're going to do this together. Step number 1, understand what the question is asking. According to paragraph 1, all of the following were true of American art in the late 1800s and early 1900s, except. Okay, so we need to find out what's true of American art at this time. Now, the whole paragraph looks like it's about the 1800s and 1900s. So our keywords are really American art. Now, step number 3, we're looking for those true statements about American art so that we can eliminate them in step number 4. The first thing that we read is that the United States was full of people who did not consider the arts, from theater to painting, useful occupations. Okay, so that helps us eliminate choice A. Most Americans thought art was unimportant. That is true. Then we continue reading, and we read the second underlined part. The public's attitude that European art was better than American art. Which one will that help us eliminate? It helps us to eliminate C. Most Americans considered American art inferior to European art. Inferior is in this study guide for your vocabulary for this section. Next, we read that there was a strong feeling among artists that the United States was long overdue in developing art that did not reproduce European traditions. Okay, this one's a little trickier. What does it mean if something is long overdue? Well, it means it's time to stop reproducing European traditions. So then we can assume they are reproducing European traditions. Which one does that help us eliminate? B. American art generally copied European styles and traditions. So the correct answer is D. It is the only one remaining. American art was very popular with European audiences. you can see that not only did we not find it, but it doesn't really match the main idea of what we have underlined. Really, they haven't had anything nice to say about American art, so it tracks, it makes sense. The D is the answer. Okay, I'm going to let you do question number 4 on your own. Okay, we're going to go over the answer together. The answer is D. It involved having teachers record and writing their reflections about teaching. And you can see that option A, B, and C have all been underlined above. Option A was designed so that teachers would eventually reflect without help from others. That is the same as the last thing that's underlined in an independent manner. Choice B, it was used by a group of teachers over a period of years. That's the first thing that's underlined, with 40 practicing teachers over several years. Option C then is underlined near the bottom of the paragraph. Talking about teaching events is the same as discussions of classroom events. Hi, welcome back to today's lesson. Today you're going to master the step-by-step strategies for vocabulary and inference questions. And then you're going to practice these strategies on real TOEFL questions. So let's get started. First up, we have inference questions. Now, what does it mean to make an inference? When you make an inference, you make a logical guess. It's important to remember that it is a logical guess. It is based on evidence. Okay, so if I say, I want to build a house when I'm 35, so that means I have 5 more years to save. You know by basic math, by basic logic, that I am 30 years old. But you cannot infer that I want to build a big house, or that I have a lot of money, or that I don't have a lot of money. The only thing that you can infer based on logic is that I am 30 years old. So that's what an inference question asks you to do. It asks you to make an inference, so to make a logical guess based on evidence. This is what it looks like. Here's a screenshot from ETS. Notice that it uses the word suggests in the question. It says, paragraph 3 suggests which of the following about the people of Latium. So look out for the word suggests. You might also see the word inferred. What can be inferred about XYZ? How to answer inference questions. These steps are very similar to the detail questions. So understand exactly what information they are asking about, identify the key words, find the sentences or paragraphs that contain the answer, use these sentences to make a prediction. Now, this is where it's a little bit different with an inference question. This can be more challenging to make a prediction because you are making a guess based on logic, so it can be difficult to make that prediction. Try to make the prediction, but if you can't, don't worry, just move forward to the last step, which is, of course, using the process of elimination. Okay, let's get started with practice question number 1. Which of the following can be inferred about bird migration from paragraph 1? So what are they asking us? What are the keywords? They are asking us to infer something about bird migration. Let's look at the paragraph. Read the whole paragraph and identify the window. Remember that the window is the sentence or sentences that contain the answer. Okay, maybe you identified that these 3 sentences contain the answer, because the whole paragraph is really about bird migration, except for the last sentence, it starts to get into Kramer, the scientist. So here's a case where it might be a little bit hard to make a prediction, but we should still try, of course. What does it say about bird migration? What can we infer? It doesn't say very much. It says that they fly from south to north and north to south. And it says that the question is how? How do they find their way? So the direction. So that's all we really have for the prediction, but that's all we need. Now we use our prediction and the process of elimination to choose the best answer. The answer is C. Bird migration generally involves moving back and forth between north and south. So you can see that, like a detail question, it's still very close to what it says in the text, but it's not as close. Detail questions are more directly from the text, and inference takes a little bit of inference. It takes a little bit of logical guesswork. So it's not as exact, the answer and the text, but it's still there. You see the connection, right? The passage talks about north and south. The answer is about north and south. Okay, it's your turn to do practice question number 2. Remember to follow the 5 steps. Remember to make a prediction. Okay, what did you get? The correct answer is B. He wanted to see whether the sun alone controlled the bird's ability to navigate toward the box with food. Okay, remember we're looking for what we can infer about Kramer's reason for filling one food box and leaving the rest empty. This is an experiment, and it's good if you can visualize what he did. He put food in a box, and then in similar identical boxes he left them empty, and the boxes are stationary, but the background is moving. So he wanted to see if they could find the food box, and they could, as long as they could see the sun. Okay, we're moving on to vocabulary questions. As far as timing, vocabulary questions should be quite quick. Usually I give you about 70 seconds for a question. For vocabulary questions, I would encourage you to try to get them done in 30 seconds or less. So save time for those more time-consuming questions like summary questions or negative detail questions. Vocabulary questions should be quick because usually if you don't know the word, you just don't know, and you got to guess and move on. I will teach you the best ways to guess, whether you know the word or not. I'll teach you some tips on how to guess, but overall, I want you to move through these quite quickly. This is what they look like from ETS. The word acute in the passage is closest in meaning to. It's very important to remember that you're not just thinking of the definition of acute. You have to look at the sentence. What does it mean in the sentence? So how do you do that? You follow these 4 steps. Read the sentence first and do not look at the answer choices. That's especially important on vocabulary questions. Remember, most of the answer choices are wrong. You want to focus on the sentence, not the answer choices. Read the sentence from the passage aloud and say blank in place of the highlighted word. This is a good way for you to start thinking about what might fit there. Number 3, make a prediction. Your prediction might be a synonym of the highlighted word. It might be very close to the exact answer, or it might be more of a general prediction. You might simply just know, okay, a positive word goes here, or a negative word, or a word that's somehow related to amount. Just do your best with the prediction. Okay, it's really getting you ready for the last step. And then step 4 is to eliminate answers that do not fit your prediction. And pro tip, stick to what you know. I've done these questions so many times with students, and it's shocking how many times people choose words that they do not know, not because of the process of elimination, not because of their prediction, but because they don't know it, so they think it must be right. Don't make that mistake. That is a mistake. That is not a good way to answer the question correctly. So stick to what you know and use the process of elimination to the best of your ability with your vocabulary. Okay, we're going to do this one together. This is just an excerpt, so it's just going to be very quick. In the animal world, the task of moving about is fulfilled in many ways. For some animals, locomotion is accomplished by changes in body shape. For some animals, blank is accomplished by changes in body shape. Okay, something is accomplished by changes in body shape. The sentence before mentions moving. My prediction is going to be that for some animals, moving is accomplished by changes in body shape. Now we use that prediction on the choices here. And the answer is B, movement. That's very close to my prediction of moving. And we read it out loud to double check. For some animals, movement is accomplished by changes in body shape. Does that sound good? Yes, it does, because it's correct. Okay, now it's your turn. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to do this one. Okay, what was your answer? The answer is A, lose the ability to move. And I hope you remembered to make a prediction. Hello, welcome back. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're at. Today, you're going to master the step-by-step strategies for sentence simplification questions, insert text questions, and rhetorical purpose questions. We have a lot on our plate today. And of course, you're going to practice using these strategies. First up, sentence simplification questions. This is basically when you're looking at a highlighted sentence and you're looking for an answer choice that means the same thing. So it's really like A equals B. Here's what it looks like on the test. This is another screenshot from ETS. You can see that there's the highlighted sentence on the left, and then the question on the right. There are 4 options, and you want to choose the one that means the same thing. Just like insert text questions, which we'll talk about in a second, every passage has one of these. So you'll have one sentence simplification question per passage and one insert text question per passage. So it's important that you know how to do them. First, know the directions because they're always the same. Once you know what is expected of you, you can ignore the directions. Let's go back to that previous screenshot. It says, which of the sentences below best expresses these blah, 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 blah. Just ignore it. It's always the same. What they want you to do is look for a sentence that is the same, that isn't missing important information and doesn't change the meaning. Step 2 is synthesize and understand the highlighted sentence. Break it down to its most important parts, and we're going to practice doing this today. It sounds very difficult, but with a few tips, you can really accomplish step 2 and answer these questions correctly. And of course, the last step, always, process of elimination. We want to eliminate answers that change the meaning, or we want to eliminate answers that are missing important information. Okay, practice question number 1. We're going to do this one together. Here's the highlighted sentence. We want to go straight to that. He then set up experiments with caged starlings and found that their orientation was, in fact, in the proper migratory direction, except when the sky was overcast, at which times there was no clear direction to their restless movements. Let's just look at the sentence right now, because remember, step 2 is to synthesize. Synthesize means really understand. So we really want to understand what this question means. These are the most important parts. He found their orientation, the bird's orientation, was in the proper migratory direction, except when the sky was overcast. And then they had no clear direction. So that's like saying Kramer found that starling's orientation was correct, except when the sky was cloudy. Cloudy is like overcast. When it was cloudy, they didn't have a clear direction. Okay, our synthesis of this, our understanding of this, the simplification that we've done, it is our prediction. So now we're going to look at the answer choices again, and we're going to choose one that really fits that prediction. We're going to choose an answer that means the same thing as our prediction and isn't missing any important information. So first up, do we want choice A? No, we want to eliminate choice A. It's missing Kramer, it's missing the overcast skies. It doesn't match our prediction. What about choice B? No, we don't want choice B. It again is missing Kramer and it's missing the overcast part, the cloudy part. And C, we also want to eliminate. Experiments revealed that the restless movement of caged starlings had no clear direction. Again, it's missing the same thing. It's missing Kramer and it's missing anything about the overcast. It doesn't have anything from our prediction. So the correct answer is D. Experiments revealed that caged starlings' orientation was accurate unless the weather was overcast. So it didn't have Kramer in there in the final answer as I thought it might, but it definitely had the overcast bit, and that part was the most important part. That's the takeaway from that sentence, that their direction was accurate unless the weather was overcast. Okay, I'm going to give you 70 seconds to do this question. Good luck. Remember to follow those steps. Okay, now we're going to go over your answer together. What did you get? So I've underlined here the most important part. Fladmark's hypothesis received support from the fact that the greatest diversity in Native American languages occurs along the coast. Okay, so if you understood that, then hopefully you got C. C is the answer. The fact that the greatest diversity of Native American languages occurs along the west coast of the Americans lends strength to Fladmark's hypothesis. They switched the order, and that's common in this type of question. Sometimes they'll change the words, they'll change them to synonyms. Sometimes they'll change the order here like they did. Sometimes they'll do both, but the meaning is the same. Okay, up next, we're going to do insert text questions. These are exactly what they sound like. You insert a sentence into the passage, into the paragraph. And like I said before, there are one per passage on the test. That's how often you're going to see these. Again, here's a screenshot from ETS. This is what it looks like. You have these black squares. It's nice when you do it on the computer, like the real TOEFL IBT, because you can actually click each option and see the sentence appear in that place. So it's a little bit easier to do it that way than to do it on a piece of paper. How to answer insert text questions. Again, ignore the directions. They are always the same. Let's click back and look at those. It says, look at the 4 squares, and then where would the sentence best fit? So once you practice in this course a little bit, you won't need to see the directions at all. You won't need to read them. You'll just see the question and you'll recognize what you need to do. Step 2, look for grammar clues. These clues will let you know what needs to come before the inserted sentence, what needs to come after the inserted sentence, or sometimes both before and after. For example, this is from the question that we're going to do next. He arranged the feed boxes at various positions on a compass. He is a pronoun. It must follow the noun that it is referring to. So in the sentence before, there should be mention of the person that they're referring to, which I think in this case is Kramer, again, the scientist with the birds. And the feed boxes, talking about those specific feed boxes again. So there's probably mention of the feed boxes in the sentence before. Step 3, the last step, test it out. Read the sentences out loud with the inserted sentence to see if it works. Okay, let's do this question together. It is that same sentence that we just looked at. He arranged the feed boxes at various positions on a compass. So we want to choose A, B, C, or D. Which box is it going to fit in? And remember, we're looking at the word he. He is our biggest clue. That means the sentence before has to mention Kramer. A lot of people that I've done this test with, a lot of students, have put it here. Is that correct? No, that is incorrect. If you put that sentence there in choice B, the sentence before it does not mention Kramer. So it's not correct then to follow with the word he. What's the correct answer? It's not B. Is it A, C, or D? It is A. It is the first box, the first option. You can see the sentence before does mention Kramer and the boxes as well. Let's read it out loud to check. In another set of experiments, Kramer put identical food boxes around the cage with food in only one of the boxes. He arranged the feed boxes at various positions on a compass. The boxes were stationary and the one containing food was always at the same point of the compass. Yes, that is correct. Okay, your turn to do this question on your own. I'm going to give you 70 seconds. Okay, how'd you do? The correct answer is B, the second box. The cheaping provides important information to the parent, but it could also attract the attention of others. The cheaping. So the sentence before mentions noisy begging. That is the cheaping. And then the sentence after also has a clue with the word these. These loud cheeps and peeps. So it's referring back to the cheaping again. Excellent. Now we're moving on to rhetorical purpose questions. Rhetoric is the art of speaking and writing. So these questions ask you, why did the author do this? And you need to understand the author's intention. Why did they do that? Usually it's to create an example, to disagree with another example, to compare things. This is what it looks like on the test. Why does the author provide the information that, and then gives you the highlighted sentence here. So again, it's going to use words like why, or in the example that we're going to do, in order to. Here's how to answer rhetorical purpose questions. Step number 1, locate that window. Remember, the window is the sentence or the sentences that contain the answer. And don't look at the answer choices yet while you're locating where the answer might be in the passage. Step number 2, make a prediction about the author's purpose. And step number 3, know rhetorical purpose vocabulary. This isn't really step number 3, this is a general tip. And this is in your study guide for this module. Some of these words to give an example, to prove, to demonstrate, to contrast, and to refute. You need to know these words because they will be the answer choices in rhetorical purpose questions. Okay, we're going to do this question quickly together. The question's there at the bottom. In paragraph 6, the author compares the energy costs of vigorous baking with the potential gain in calories from such baking in order to. Okay, so it's asking us what the author is hoping to accomplish with mentioning the energy costs of vigorous baking with the potential gain in calories. There's some big vocabulary there, so some of that is in your study guide. It is helpful to know the words vigorous and potential gain. Okay, now we look at the paragraph. We want to locate the window. So where does the author mention the costs of vigorous baking with the potential gain in calories? It's right about in the middle. The answer lies apparently not in the increased energy costs of exaggerated baking, but rather in the damage that any successful cheater would do to its siblings, which share genes with one another. Okay, so my prediction will be something like, the author mentioned that because that is an idea that he doesn't agree with. That's an idea that the author does not agree with. The answer lies not in that. So go ahead and look at the answer choices and take a second to choose one. Remember to use the process of elimination aggressively. Okay, did you get C? C is the correct answer. The author is pointing out a weakness in a possible explanation for why nestlings do not always bake vigorously, and that does match our prediction. Hi, welcome back. Today we have our last 2 question types for the reading. We're going to go over summary questions and table questions. Let's start with table questions. Now, both with table questions and summary questions, they come at the end of each passage, and you're not going to get both. You're going to get one table question or one summary question at the end of each passage. Table questions are a lot less common than summary questions. So we're going to do 1 table question practice today and 3 summary questions. A table question asks you to complete a table. Here's an example from a textbook. You can see that there's a table with 3 categories, and they want you to place the answer choices in the correct categories. It's very important to remember that with summary questions and with table questions, the order does not matter. So, for example, cognitive approach has 2 options there. It doesn't matter the order that you put those 2 answers, as long as you put the 2 answers that are correct. How to answer table questions. Remember, both table questions and summary questions are concerning the main idea, and you've already covered this content when you answered questions 1 through 9. But you can see the whole passage again to answer chart and summary questions. Today, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to take some more time because you're not reading the passage and answering questions 1 through 9 and then answering these questions. We've been doing these questions over days. We've been doing several different passages. So today, you're going to take some more time to answer the table question and more time to answer the summary questions. And you can read the whole passage again. But on the real test, you only need to spend about 2 minutes on these questions because you already are familiar with the content just by answering questions 1 through 9. Step number 2, watch out for answer choices that are not included in any category. Step number 3, start with what you know and remember from answering previous questions, and then double check the passage again by scan reading to complete the table. Remember that scan reading is reading quickly, looking for specific information. Okay, we're going to do practice question 1. And remember, I said we're going to spend some more time on this than we normally would because you've been doing so many different passages today and the last few days. So pause the video and read the passage in the study guide. Read the passage about the arts. Okay, welcome back. Now pause the video again and go ahead and answer the question. You're looking for 3 statements for the applied arts and 2 statements for the fine arts. Okay, what was your answer? This is the correct answer. Let's go through all of this starting at the top. Objects serve a functional purpose. Now that goes under applied arts. This is clearly stated in paragraph 1. Next statement, the basic form of objects varies little across cultures. In paragraph 1, sentence 5, the passage states that certain laws of physics are universal. Then in sentence 7, the idea is further developed with the statement that functional forms can vary only within limits. And the next statement, artists work in concert with their materials. This is stated explicitly in the last paragraph of the passage. Now moving on to the fine arts category. An object's purpose is primarily aesthetic. This is not clearly stated. This is an example of something that you need to infer from the passage. In paragraph 2, sentence 5, the passage states that the primary purpose of fine arts is not function. Then in paragraph 2, sentence 11, the passage mentions a situation in which a sculptor had to sacrifice an aesthetic purpose due to the laws of physics. Putting these statements together, you can infer that fine artists, such as sculptors, are primarily concerned with aesthetics. And the second statement, artists work to overcome the limitations of their materials. This is stated explicitly, this is stated clearly in the last paragraph of the passage. Now let's look at the statements that were not included. The incidental details of objects do not vary. This idea is explicitly refuted. So the passage says the opposite of this by the last sentence of the paragraph, of paragraph 1. So the last sentence of paragraph 1 says that the incidental details of such objects do vary. And the last statement, an object's place of origin is difficult to determine. This answer choice is implicitly refuted in reference to applied arts in the next to last sentence of paragraph 1. So it's not as clearly refuted, but you can understand, you can make an inference. That sentence notes that both Shang Dynasty and Inca vases are identifiable as such based upon differences in detail. Okay, great job. We're going to move on to summary questions. Like I said before, they're much more common, so I want to spend more time on them. Summary questions are fun. People are often scared of them because they are big, they take up more time, and they're worth more points. You can definitely learn how to do them and master the summary question. This is what it looks like. This is a screenshot from the official ETS. A lot of directions, the fact that it's worth 2 points. You can see that the summary is in bold there, and then you select 3 answers. And again, the order does not matter. You can see that this is the last question of the passage. It's question 10 of 20. So that would be question 10 of the first passage. The next question will be the next passage. How to answer summary questions. Same as what I said about table questions. You've already covered this content. So remember that you know a little bit about the main idea already. You know a lot about the main idea already. But yes, you can see the whole passage again. Step number 2, ignore the directions. Once you recognize that it is a summary question, you can start working on it. Step number 3, there are 6 options. Start by eliminating the 3 wrong choices. And answers can be wrong in 2 ways. It can be wrong because it's not true according to the passage. It's not mentioned in the passage. Or it could be wrong because it is true according to the passage, but it is not the main idea. Now, people who don't prepare for the TOEFL often get these wrong because of this difference. They know that they're looking for things that are not true according to the passage, but they don't realize that they're supposed to be looking for the main idea. So they choose answers that are minor details. They're true according to the passage, but they are minor details. And step number 4, make sure your final 3 answers are true according to the passage and relate to the main idea. Okay, we're going to do this one together. This is also about applied arts and fine arts. So this is the same passage as before. I'll still give you a second to pause the video and look at the passage again, but this time let's move a little bit faster because you just read this passage. First, let's pay attention to that italicized sentence. That's the summary. This passage discusses fundamental differences between applied art objects and fine art objects. Okay, so that is the main idea reinstated for us right there. And our answers might feel repetitive, like we're saying the same thing over and over, but that's okay. We want the main idea over and over. Now we're going to start by eliminating. What do you think I want to eliminate first? I'm going to eliminate choice B. It is easy to recognize that Shang Dynasty vases are different from Inca vases. This is a true statement according to the passage, but it is not the main idea. Remember, the main idea is the difference between applied art objects and fine art objects. The main idea is not the Shang Dynasty and Inca vases. Okay, what do you think we want to eliminate next? We're going to eliminate choice D. Renaissance sculptors learned to use iron braces to strengthen the internal structures of bronze statues. Again, this is a true statement coming from paragraph 2, but it is not the main idea. This was just an example to help the reader understand the point about limitations, but it's not the main idea. It's not related to the difference between applied art objects and fine art objects. Okay, what do you think we want to eliminate next? We just need to eliminate one more answer choice. We're going to eliminate E. We're going to eliminate choice E because it's not true, according to the passage. It's a misreading of paragraph 3. In paragraph 3, it says that the differences have not changed. So our correct answer, A, C, and F, the 3 remaining options. Great job. Okay, we got 2 more of these. We're going to do practice question number 3 together. This is from the passage about Egyptian statues, and we did answer some questions about this in previous lessons. But again, I want you to pause the video and take some time to look at the passage again. Remember, you wouldn't normally do this on the real test. You wouldn't take so much time, but because we're doing this over a few days, it is good to look at the passage again and get familiar again. Okay, welcome back. Again, let's look at the sentence. The distinctive look of ancient Egyptian sculpture was determined largely by its function. So they're giving us the main idea again. They're reminding us what the main idea is. It's about the function of these sculptures in Egyptian culture. So what do you think I want to eliminate first? We are going to eliminate choice A. This is not true according to paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. They are not twisted. They're actually stationary. Okay, what should we eliminate next? We're going to eliminate choice D. Statues were more often designed to be viewed in isolation rather than placed within buildings. This is not accurate. This is a misreading of paragraph 2. It says when they're viewed in isolation, they could be misunderstood. But that does not mean that they were designed to be viewed in isolation. Okay, what should we eliminate next? We're going to eliminate choice F, the last one. Although the appearance of formal and generic statues differ, they share the same function. This is not true according to paragraph 4. It says that the function is quite different. So the answer, B, C, and E are remaining choices. We want to check those again, make sure that they are main idea, and all true and accurate according to the passage. And they are, because they are correct. Very good. Okay, one more practice question and then we're all done. Again, pause the video here, look at the passage again, get familiar with it. Okay, let's look at the summary sentence that they give us here. That's italicized. Gustav Kramer conducted important research related to the ability of birds to orient and navigate. One thing you can do is look at the subject of the italicized sentence. It's Kramer. So we can start by looking at answer choices that include Kramer as the subject. They're more likely to be right. That doesn't mean they're all right, but we can start with them. So if you look at choice B, Kramer is there in choice B, C, and D, and F as well. He's in a lot of those. So let's start with B. Do we want to eliminate B? Yes, we do, because although it does include our dear Kramer, it is not true. It is a misreading of paragraph 4. He did place boxes containing food, not each time he put food boxes in the bird's environment. Okay, what do we want to eliminate next? Choice D. Again, we have Kramer here, but it's not accurate. It's not true. They do talk about birds flying at night, and they do have that ability, but not because of their biological clock. Biological clock is mentioned in paragraph 5, but paragraph 6, which is about flying at night, does not mention the biological clock. So that is not accurate according to the passage. And what about choice E? There's no Kramer there. And yes, we do want to eliminate it. It's not true according to paragraph 4. And if you remember from questions that we answered in previous lessons, that this was not true according to a question that we answered. On overcast days, they were restless. Okay, so the answer A, C, and F. So take a second to double check that. Make sure that those answers are main idea and true according to the passage.
You did it. You did the whole section of this mini course. Now YouTube thinks that you'd like this video, so go ahead and check it out.